Plastic. Studies analyzing commonly eaten shellfish find microplastics in every sample tested. Mussels contain 0.2 to 1.8 microplastic particles per gram of tissue, meaning a single meal could introduce 90 plastic particles into your body. Shellfish concentrate these particles because they filter large volumes of seawater while feeding. Consider this. Europeans who regularly eat shellfish consume about 11,000 microplastic particles per year just from this one food source. When you account for all exposure routes, food, water, and even the air we breathe, the average person ingests over 200,000 plastic particles annually. These aren't just passing through us. Autopsy studies reveal plastic fragments lodged in human intestines, livers, and other organs, with the highest concentrations found in intestinal tissue. The lungs tell a similar story. Researchers identify synthetic fibers in lung tissue samples, particularly among urban populations. The average person breathes in between 26 and 130 microplastic particles daily. Textile workers face far worse, inhaling up to 1,500 fibers per cubic meter of air in some factories. These particles don't get exhaled. Instead, they embed themselves in lung tissue, with scans revealing opaque specks concentrated in lower lobes. Some patients develop small areas of inflammation around trapped plastic fibers. Medical scans now detect these invaders in living patients. A 2022 breakthrough study found plastic fragments in the blood of 80% of people tested. The particles range from 0.5 to 10 micrometers, small enough to slip into our bloodstream and travel anywhere in the body. Imagine thousands of these microscopic hitchhikers circulating through your veins, some eventually taking up residence in your organs. The chemical payload these particles carry may be more dangerous than the plastic itself. A single polyester fiber can contain up to 8,000 different chemical additives, dyes, flame retardants, plasticizers. Many function as endocrine disruptors, synthetic compounds that interfere with our hormone systems. Like tiny saboteurs, they leach into tissues over time, potentially altering everything from reproduction to metabolism. Our food system has become a revolving door for plastic contamination. Sewage sludge, treated wastewater solids sold as fertilizer, contains concentrated microplastics from laundry and other sources. Farmers spread this plastic-laden sludge on fields growing our vegetables. Studies find microplastics in carrots, lettuce, and wheat, with root vegetables showing particularly high uptake. Even salt isn't safe. Sea salt contains up to 280 microplastic particles per kilogram. Beverages carry their own plastic burden. Bottled water averages 93 particles per liter compared to tap water's 4 to 16. Beer brewed with Great Lakes water contains about 4 plastic fibers per liter. Researchers even find plastic in commercial honey, up to 660 fibers per kilogram in U.S. samples. This ubiquity makes complete avoidance nearly impossible. Children face greater exposure than adults. Infants fed with polypropylene bottles swallow millions of microplastic particles daily from bottle degradation alone. Their smaller body size means higher relative exposure, and biomarker studies confirm elevated plastic concentrations in young bodies. What happens when these particles set up shop in our tissues? Lab studies show they trigger chronic inflammation and cellular damage. Their large surface area acts like a sponge for environmental pollutants, delivering concentrated doses of pesticides and industrial chemicals directly to our cells. The long-term effects remain uncertain, but the mechanisms for harm clearly exist. Endocrine disruption raises particular concern. Phthalates, common plastic softeners, alter testosterone production in animals. Bisphenol A, BPA, interferes with estrogen signaling. While direct links to human disease need more study, these effects could influence development, reproduction, and metabolism across generations. The body tries to eliminate some particles. The average person excretes between 50 and 500 microplastics daily through feces. But autopsies prove many remain embedded in tissues. Some damage intestinal lining cells in lab experiments, potentially contributing to gut permeability. Others alter gut microbiota, favoring inflammatory bacterial strains. Researchers are investigating possible links to rising inflammatory bowel disease rates. Respiratory effects emerge in textile workers, who show increased chronic bronchitis and lung disease from high microfiber exposure. Similar particles in urban air pollution correlate with worsening asthma. The combination of physical irritation and chemical exposure likely drives these impacts. Global biomonitoring reveals the scale of contamination. The average European adult carries about 20 milligrams of plastic particles in their body at any given time, slightly higher in the U.S. at 24 milligrams. These figures will likely grow as plastic production increases. Global per capita consumption has quadrupled since the 1980s. Diet influences exposure. Seafood consumers show 2 to 3 times higher microplastic burdens than vegetarians. Regular bottled beverage drinkers have 30 to 50% higher particle counts than tap water users. But no diet offers complete protection given environmental contamination levels. Even food processing adds microplastics. Mechanical grinding releases particles from equipment. Plastic packaging transfers them through abrasion. Canned foods contain them from linings. Fresh produce washes in plastic containers accumulate particles from water and container wear. Home cooking methods matter. Hot liquids leach more particles from plastic containers. Microwaving plastic dramatically increases shedding. Non-stick cookware coatings degrade over time, releasing particles into food. Simple switches to glass containers and cast iron pans can reduce household contributions. The most disturbing findings show microplastics bypassing all biological barriers. Animal studies demonstrate blood-brain barrier penetration and placental transfer, exposing developing fetuses. The long-term implications of lifelong plastic accumulation in human organs remain unknown but demand urgent study. We've created a circular contamination loop. Plastics from clothing enter ecosystems, accumulate in food, and return to our bodies. The same synthetic fibers providing affordable clothing also introduce a pervasive contaminant into global food systems and human biology. Industry responses remain inadequate. Some brands promote recycled polyester as sustainable, though it sheds even more microplastics than virgin materials. Voluntary commitments lack binding targets. Most countries still lack regulatory standards for microplastics in food and water. Consumer awareness lags far behind scientific findings. Most people don't realize they're regularly consuming microplastics through normal eating and drinking. Education about exposure routes could shift behaviors toward lower shedding textiles and filtration options. The scale of exposure suggests microplastics now represent a universal contaminant on par with heavy metals. Like these pollutants, effects may span generations through bioaccumulation. The coming decades will reveal whether this widespread contamination produces measurable population health impacts. But by then, the plastic will already be in all of us.